So you're skinny fat and you want to learn how to no longer be skinny fat. And the main issue with you being skinny fat is you have low testosterone and you need to build more muscle because skinny fat implies that you're skinny. So you're skinny, but then you're also fat. And what that means is that you may actually have a healthy BMI, meaning your BMI may be somewhere between 18 point what, 9 or whatever the fuck to 24 or something, meaning your height to weight ratio is actually kind of decent. So let's say you have a guy that's 6 foot and he's sitting at 160 pounds, even though I think that's pretty damn tiny, his BMI is pretty good. My BMI is actually almost overweight. Why? It's because I'm 6 foot, but I bulked up to 195 pounds. But according to my body comp records, I'm actually almost like 4% body fat. You guys don't think I'm fucking joshing? I'm gonna go ahead and show you my body mass index. Now, if you see here, it says percent body fat. 3.9. Now, I'll be honest, I'm a little bit skeptical and I do plan on taking another test. But point is that if you look at my body, I actually look pretty lean. BMI doesn't always calculate your exact health, your exact status or condition of being physically. But in this case, on paper, it seems like this guy is all right and healthy. But no, what you don't know is that disproportionately, your fat outweighs the amount of muscle that you have. Even though your BMI is healthy and you don't have a whole lot of weight on your body, you actually happen to be roughly 25% body fat. You have disproportionately more fat composition comprising of your body than you do muscle or anything else. And that, to my understanding, is a sign of low testosterone because testosterone is a natural muscle building hormone. And your body is constantly going through muscle breakdown and muscle protein synthesis. You're either not getting enough protein in your diet or you don't have enough testosterone to trigger these sorts of reactions in your body. Because when you see normal boys and other guys, even though they don't work out, they're not skinny fat. They're probably just skinny, or they may have like some abs or a little bit of back or something like that, even though they don't work out. It's because naturally, as men, we naturally build muscle over time just by the resistance of the world. And that's perfectly fine. If you're new to my channel, I'm here to actually help you learn how to build muscle and build an aesthetic body just like I have, because I've been a gym rat for roughly 9 years of my life, and I've always had an affinity and joy and passion and love for the gym. And not only do I try and teach people to have that same joy and passion and love for the gym, but I also am here to show you how to build muscle and to get rid of that skinny fat physique. So let's get into it. The issue is that you're very far from your genetic potential as a man to your body comp. Ideally, what you want to do, if we could snap our fingers, you want to get rid of this body fat right here, change this 25% to maybe like a 15 or a 12%, and then gain more muscle and have more muscle composition. If you looked at my body composition index right here earlier when I showed you in the video, you would see that I have a lot of muscle built around my body. You may have also noticed that my right arm has a little bit more strength and muscle composition than my left arm. We're not going to talk about that. But point is, you want to have more muscle mass and muscle composition than you do body fat composition, because even though you're skinny, which you technically on paper you kind of are, you still have a high percentage of body fat. Not only that, but it causes your body fat to develop in areas that mainly is signs of high estrogen levels, like around the belly, maybe around the hips, hopefully not the ass or anything else. But through resistance training, which is a natural testosterone builder, through your diet and how it is you eat and you train and the knowledge that you have, you can actually reverse that effect and get into your natural masculine state, hormone wise and physically and aesthetically wise. You're far from your genetic potential. Your ancestors actually probably built muscle at a certain point, but you're all the way back here. Meaning, if you were to kind of bro style this understanding here, your ancestors, they probably hit the gym or some shit, or like you got strong, maybe hunting gazelle or whatever the fuck, or whatever they did in the past, maybe colonizing or something. And they built a certain amount of muscle. Your genetic potential enables you to build a certain level of muscle until it starts to get kind of really hard. You're very, very, very far from that genetic potential. And genetically, it's possible that your potential for building muscle is actually pretty low, because skinny fat body also does come with just bad genetics. But that doesn't mean you can't build your body. People like Hamza and other people who claim to be skinny fat and were skinny fat in their past still built really aesthetic bodies. Not only do you want to get close to where your ancestors may have been in terms of strength and kind of get closer to your genetic potential, but eventually, as you get more advanced, the best version of you is going to pass your genetic potential and build an absurd amount of muscle. But your first goal is to get closer to your genetic potential. So how do you do this? Well, do you cut? Do you bulk? No, you have to resistance train. You simply just need to build muscle, as I stated in the beginning of this video. You need to offset that percentage of body fat. If you were to imagine it as a scale, the scale is actually heavier on the body fat side. You want to tip the scale in the muscle side so that you can really have that strong, lean physique. So build muscle. Now, if you like your weight right now, I recommend eating at maintenance with a high protein diet. The reason why is because you don't want to bulk and then gain weight because you're going to get fatter. That body fat is still going to accumulate, but because you're resistance training, you have two factors at play. Your body starts to metabolize food differently because it realizes that this guy's actually lifting weights, meaning a lot of those macros are going to be optimized for recruiting muscle protein so that your muscles can get bigger and stronger. If you were to imagine a food molecule being comprised of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, what happens is that food molecule gets in your body and it's like, okay, what's my body doing? Well, he's sitting on his ass and playing COD. So I don't really need that much carbs because, well, he's not really doing anything physically demanding or challenging. So I could send some to his brain and then keep some. Then it looks at your fats and it says, well, he's not doing any long distance cardio. So I'm just going to keep all the fats and store it here. And then it looks at the proteins and it doesn't really see that you're doing much resistance training. So it doesn't need to give much to your muscles for muscle protein synthesis. So then eventually all those leftover molecules, proteins, carbs, fats, all get stored away later and it becomes visceral fat. That's why you can have someone who doesn't work out, he can eat a high protein diet, and maybe he won't get as fat as a guy who eats nothing but carbs and fats, but that guy's still going to become fat and sedentary and not look that aesthetically impressive. You need to change your body's way of processing food by introducing resistance training. And what does resistance training do? Well, it causes testosterone to be like, hey, I'm necessary. It's going to start processing food differently and speeding up muscle protein synthesis and actually start acting. So why do I say eat at maintenance? Because then you're not going to give your body the opportunity to gain weight if you don't want to gain weight. And you can keep the weight that you have, but then still build muscle on top of that by eating at maintenance and eating a high protein diet. If you do want to be bigger overall, then yes, have a slow bulk, meaning 0.5 pounds or a pound a week. But make sure that you're doing your hardest to resistance train, meaning I'm talking about 4 or 5 days a week. In fact, if you're bulking, you should be working out more. You should be doing more in the gym, actually pushing yourself to the limit than you would be if you were eating at maintenance. Because you hypothetically don't want to give the food molecules a chance to think that all that fucking food that you're eating is just for it to be stored away as fat. When you bulk, you will gain weight. But what you can do is then cut after and then recomp all that strength. At the end of this, you want to bulk and build muscle underneath all that belly fat and all that shit. You want to go ahead and build a base, a foundation for your body so that when you cut all that fat out of your body and you transmute all that fat into activity and cardio and resistance training, and your body is now started to metabolize food differently, underneath can be the muscle that you see. Because at the end of the day, skinny fat's main problem is that it's skinny and that it has a high percentage of body fat. People don't understand that that body fat is an energy reservoir. It's long-term fuel waiting to be used by the body in terms of emergency. That's fat. Not only fat, but it's also the sorts of fats that you eat. Are you eating trans fats or are you eating the poly and monounsaturated fats that you should be eating that are for testosterone production and vitamin absorption? Probably not. You may be the kid who's eating fucking ding dongs because your mom keeps buying them, who gets the crust cut off of his sandwiches and eats PB and J's and is told not to eat more than 2 or 3 eggs a day because it's too much cholesterol. It's also the quality of food that you eat. I'm here to tell you, the only diet solution that you need is that you need to eat whole foods and start cooking for yourself. You need to eat more chicken, more tuna, more red meats, natural stuff that is found in the earth, created by God, so that you can actually build the strength that you need and have all the vitamins and minerals you need. Because at the end of the day, you're a man. You have 11 times more testosterone than a woman does. There's no reason why your body should naturally be developing in the way that a woman would. There's no reason for your fat to just be developing around your stomach and you just have 25% body fat, but you're skinny. But sometimes shit happens with genetics, and I'm not here to shame you, but I'm here to show you that your body will naturally readjust itself if you stick to training and eating like a normal human being. To shed light on the solution, your issue is that you need to build more muscle. Stay at maintenance level, meaning go to tdee.com. You can actually calculate how many calories is maintenance, bulking, or cutting by going to total daily energy expenditure calculator, TDEE, and then finding out how many calories you need at maintenance by entering your height, weight, age, and sex, and all that. And then you can get how many calories that you ideally need, also based on your activity levels. Eat at maintenance, and then make sure that all those calories that you're eating comprises of a certain amount of protein, carbs, and fats. And a rule of thumb for protein is no less than a gram per pound of body weight. People will say it's actually zero point 0.8 or it's actually 0.7. Doesn't matter. The science is pretty flexible. Eat about a gram per pound of body weight. And then for fats, meaning the healthy fats that you see in like avocado, salmon, fish oils, keep it to zero point 0.5 grams per pound of body weight. And then as far as carbs go, let carbs be the rest. And then if you're trying to bulk or maintenance or maintain, just keep your calories there. Now, in my course that I have, top link in the description, I actually go through nutrition and I give people actual ideas that I personally use that I find off of like YouTube shorts or different things so that they can create meals. And I actually have a nutrition template that shows guys whole food meals that I'm constantly updating to this day that are good for you, that will have the macros actually laid out for you. And I go in detail on how to actually eat. And it's very fucking simple. But you do need to learn how to cook and you do need to learn how to shop. If you're a young guy and you used to live with your parents, sit down and have a serious fucking talk with your parents about how it is you eat. Stop consuming seed oils. Don't let your parents vicariously live through you and push their bad habits on you. But if you're the guy who's buying snacks from school and you eat all these nasty sweets and you're always eating sweets because you have a mental health disorder and you're anxious and you have trauma built up inside of your body, fix that shit. Find out how to go to counseling or get on self improvement. Eventually, your body fat will decrease and your muscle mass and your muscle percentage will increase. And that'll solve the skinny fat problem. You'll no longer be skinny. Eventually, you'll just be muscular and a little fat. And then you can burn that fat with cutting down and eating at maintenance and then eating at a cutting level and having high protein. If you were to just cut and bulk alone while being skinny fat, you would just get bigger and smaller and still skinny fat because your body fat percentage would stay the same. But you solve that by building muscle. If you want to learn more, click on this video. Goodbye.